Good day, class. Welcome to another episode of this course. Today, we'll be discussing about the legal and policy frameworks in cyberspace. Here's the overview or the core objective of the course. Students are expected to be introduced to legal and policy frameworks in cyberspace. Expected to look at international laws governing cyberspace by focusing on the United Nations frameworks and Tallinn Manual. We also look at the regional frameworks, which include African Union Cybersecurity Convention, focusing on the Malabo Convention. Also look at the Budapest Convention on Cybercrime. We forge ahead to also look at national policies and international cooperations. And we conclude by looking at ethical considerations in cyber policy. Now, why legal framework matter? Legal frameworks are legal policies or strategies instead put in place by nations to secure cyberspace. And the core objective of these frameworks include promoting stability and security in cyberspace. This control authorizations as well as access to resources in the cyberspace. This normally consists of authentication and authorization protocols. The authentication protocol will ensure that the right users are the ones accessing the right resources. Similarly, authorization is to confirm or verify the validity. After confirming or verifying the validity of the user before access will be granted. So another matter or that foster legal frameworks is support international cooperation against cyber threats. Of course, this cyber space cannot be protected without cooperation of countries or nations. So the support of international cooperation gives more room and makes these frameworks robust. However, there is no any creation or innovation without any challenge. Some of the challenge confronting this cyber governance includes jurisdictional issues in a borderless space. So there are spaces that are borderless, no control over them. So controlling jurisdiction over that is also a problem, as jurisdiction simply means control over that territory or over that border will create problem or create rooms where hackers or criminals can take advantage of. Another thing is the technological advancement, which normally outpace the legal development. So as technology gets to advance, there are so many rooms for advancement, and these advancements normally impute certain standard of policies that are set in place. So to this is also a challenging as even though continuous update on legal issues or standards, it's always recommended, but this issue still persists as advancement continues on the rise. So the key objective to drive from legal matter framework ensures it ensures the protection of critical infrastructures, and it ensures privacy and data integrity, and it also enables enforcement against cyber crime. Now, we look at the international laws governing cyberspace. And on this focus, we're focusing on the United Nations frameworks, popularly known as UN. So, UN Group of Governance Expert, UNGGE, formulate frameworks that advocate norms for state behavior in cyberspace. So, there are certain policies that UN define to control the ethics or standards in cyberspace for states on how to behave in this particular cyber environment. By emphasizing the applicability of international law to cyberspace, it ensures that the laws governing the usage of cyberspace are completely adhered to and these standards are completely maintained. As sanctions are also made available to be imposed on defaulters. Another branch of UNGGE, it's Open-Ended Working Group, OEWG. They encourage inclusivity in discussion. It means by the time these policies or standards are enforced, they encourage inclusivity of all nations operating within that particular cyber space. And they also ensure that this focuses on capacity building and cyber norms, meaning that there are defined laws on cyber norms that must be adhered to. And it is the responsibility of the open-ended working group to ensure that these norms are vehemently maintained. So, and the key document that this report, that this consideration consider is the UNGGE and OEG reports, and also the resolutions on responsible state behaviors are also key documents that contribute to the formulation of these UN frameworks. Also want to look at the international laws governing cyberspace, but want to focus on the Tallinn Manual. The Tallinn Manual was developed by NATO CCDEOE. This explores international law in cyber operations. So this particular manual developed by NATO consists of certain policies and standards that that serve as a watchdog in maintaining the international law by checkmating the cyber operations. Any activity or event that takes place must not be authorized or must be duly observed to ensure that it obeys the international standard or policy set aside by the NATO. So any defaulter found on this will face sanctions, and the focus area is to ensure sovereignty in cyberspace. It wants to ensure that there are transparency and there is what we call strict accountability in terms of cyber operations. So also, it also supports legal thresholds for state responsibility. This legal threshold is talking about the maintaining the policies across states, and each state should know its own responsibility. Like it creates mutual relationship amongst the space in operating within that cyber environment domain. So the only limitations this particular policy or law, international law has, is it is non-binding and it is interpretive. So giving room for further justification and moderation. In the law language, the law practitioners look at it as amendments. So now, another point of focus is the legal regional framework. And the regional framework where we talk about the African Union Cybersecurity Convention, where we talk about the Malabo Convention. So in short, Malabo Convention focuses on cybersecurity, data protection, and cybercrime. So it ensures that policy standard, data protection, data integrity, and the issue of its cybercrime are duly maintained. And it encourages harmonized legal frameworks. It means that what Malabo Convention focuses on, it ensures that frameworks are developed that harmonize cybersecurity, data protection, and cyber crime. So the key provisions of the Malabo Convention include criminalization of cyber offenses. Any offense being found on the cyber or on the cyberspace will be criminalized as is against the standard. When it is found being against the standard of the policies being set aside, that particular behavior or action will be considered a criminal act. Another thing, it ensures that national cybersecurity agencies works within the paradigm or within the set laws or norms of the cyberspace. So the challenges to this particular framework, it's low ratification and implementation gaps. So it gives limited room for updates and amendments, and the implementation takes time. It takes donkey time to be achieved. So another regional framework is the Budapest Convention on Cybercrime, and its focuses area is to harmonize the laws on cybercrime, ensure that the law on data security, on cyber crimes, or punishing or enforcing punishment or sanctions on cyber criminals is harmonized. And similarly, it also ensures enhanced investigative capabilities. It gives accountability, thereby generating reports that ensures that this report goes in tandem or provides room for investigations. So it also supports cross-border cooperation. This particular framework is significant in ensuring that there is what we call cross-border support or cross-border harmonization, ensuring that the cyberspace laws or regulations are maintained across different borders. And it has some challenges or criticism of it has limited inclusivity for developing nations. yes, this particular policy has limited room for upcoming nations. So the national policies and international cooperation. So the role of national policies rather includes defining the legal parameters for cybersecurities, also ensuring standards for data protection and infrastructure security. Another thing is they facilitate cooperation, and under this cooperation, it ensures extradition treaties and joint operations, and it also allows information sharing. Example of such include the US Cloud Act, EU GDPR, India's Data Protection Bill. So the ethical consideration in cyber policy includes one, balancing security and privacy. It eliminates the ethical dilemmas in surveillance and it ensures transparency and consistent, meaning report or information must be clear, unambiguous, and well understood or well defined or constructed. And it ensures equity and inclusion. It addresses digital dividends or dividends or differences, and it also promotes capacity building. And another important thing, this ethical consideration is it ensures accountability, meaning that there must be a comprehensive report of ethical standard and ethical standard and cyber operations or activities. Conclusively, these are the key takeaways from these particular lectures. We know that international and regional frameworks are very important or essential, and the formulation of national policies bridge what global efforts, and these ethical principles must also guide policy enforcement. So now, based on this lecture that we had, the call to action or recommendation based on this study includes advocate for collaboration and to ensure that we promote ethical practices. So this now brings us to the end of this lecture. I will ensure you watch this video over and over again. And if there are questions or challenges, please do ensure you reach me out. For now, bye-bye. See you next class, rather.